What if I told you the turquoise lakes of Banff aren't really that color at all? It's an illusion created by ancient mountains and a secret ingredient that's been flowing for thousands of years. Picture this. You're hiking through a dense pine forest in the Canadian Rockies. The air is crisp, the trail is steep, and then suddenly you see it. A lake so vibrantly turquoise it looks like someone dropped a giant jewel into the valley. It's almost unreal. Lake Louise, Moraine Lake, Peyto Lake, their colors seem photoshopped. But they're not. That impossible blue is real, and the reason it exists is one of nature's greatest magic tricks. Let's start with a simple question. Why aren't all lakes this color? Most lakes are blue because water absorbs every color of sunlight except blue, which it reflects back. But that only gives you a soft, sky blue tint. It doesn't give you that electric, milky turquoise you see in places like Banff. For that, you need something else. Something the Rockies have been quietly producing for millennia. It all begins high up in the mountains, where glaciers cling to rocky peaks. These aren't just frozen water, they're slow-moving rivers of ice, grinding against the bedrock as they inch downhill. And as they move, they act like giant sheets of sandpaper, scraping and pulverizing the rock beneath them into an ultra-fine powder. This powder is called rock flour, and it's the secret ingredient behind the magic now. When the glacier melts each summer, this rock flour gets carried by meltwater into the rivers and eventually into the lakes. But here's the twist. The particles are so fine that they don't sink. They stay suspended in the water, drifting like billions of tiny mirrors. And when sunlight hits the lake, something extraordinary happens. Sunlight is made up of all the colors of the rainbow. When it enters a lake full of rock flour, the particles scatter the light. But they don't scatter all colors equally. They're especially good at scattering shorter wavelengths, blues and greens, while absorbing the warmer colors like reds and yellows. The result, that stunning, almost glowing turquoise you see in photos, but the color isn't just about the rock flour. It's also about the depth and clarity of the water. In shallow lakes, the effect is less dramatic. But in deep, cold lakes like those in Banff, the light penetrates deeper, and the suspended particles have more space to work their magic. Combine that with the pure, sediment-free water from glacial melt, and you get a color so vivid it almost feels unnatural now. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. The color changes. Depending on the time of year, the weather, and even the angle of the sun, the same lake can look completely different. In early summer, when glacial melt is at its peak, the lakes are often their most vibrant, almost a milky aquamarine. That's because more rock flour is flowing into them. Later in the season, as melt slows, some of the flour settles, and the water becomes clearer and slightly darker blue. And it's not just Banff. This phenomenon happens anywhere you have glaciers feeding lakes, in places like New Zealand, Patagonia, and the European Alps. But there's something about the scale and purity of the Canadian Rockies that makes Banff's lakes feel like something out of a dream. But what does this mean for the lakes over time? Glaciers around the world are retreating due to climate change. As they shrink, the amount of rock flour they produce may change, and so could the iconic color of these lakes. Some may become clearer, others may lose their intensity. The turquoise isn't permanent. It's a balance, a beautiful and fragile result of ice, rock, and light working in harmony. So the next time you see a photo of Lake Louise or stand at the edge of Moraine Lake, you'll know you're not just looking at water. You're looking at thousands of years of geological history, suspended in liquid light. You're seeing the legacy of ancient ice, the ghost of mountains ground to dust, and a color that exists only under the rarest and most precious conditions. Have you ever visited one of these turquoise lakes, or do you have a favorite natural wonder that seems too magical to be real? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you want to uncover more of nature's hidden secrets, make sure to subscribe to Wonder Explorer.